What's this one?
I don't know. What is it?
I like it.
Yeah.
Ah!
You're Connor the normal man.
No.
Connor the what? Hello out there, Tara here again today, and this time we are starting a new series. So we're doing some easy crafting projects, things you can do at home with recycled materials like cardboard, paper towel rolls, milk cartons, as long as they're cleaned out properly. So things like that, and then tools that you have around the house, scissors, pencil, ruler, things like that. And the extra supplies are things that you probably have at home anyway, or can easily get from a grocery store or office supply store. So we're talking about copy paper, construction paper, crayons, things like that. So we're keeping it simple. A lot of these things you can paint instead, but that gets a little bit messier and trickier. So we are going to not focus on that this time, and we're going to focus instead on keeping it simple and clean. The only thing you really had to clean up is all the little scrap pieces of paper, and that's not so bad. Anyway, what we're going to make this time are going to be grocery bag costumes. My mom used to make these with me when I was younger, and I love them. I've made them with plenty of kids before, and they're a lot of fun. So it's something you can make, and then later you can use it over and over and over again. So that's why it's a pretty great craft. So we'll start with the paper bag. I'm going to have this side showing where we can see the flap. Okay, so we don't want it on that side because this is where the hole for your head's going to go through. So we'll make some lines here. Okay, so we want to make sure that you don't cut too far, okay? So I'm gonna zoom this in a little bit. So you see how we still got a little bit of this edge here? Same thing here, okay? So that's gonna keep us from going outside. So I'll make a big oval. So just kind of connect these. Fold this over. So same over here, you want to get pretty close to the top so that this isn't cutting in too much. We'll make a pretty good sized circle, so maybe like half of this. This will be one of the armholes. And we'll do the same on the other side. Remember to leave room on the edges too, so you're not cutting into that other side. Okay. So we had to switch it up a bit so you can see what I'm doing here. So now we are going to cut out the circles and ovals that we made. So let's see. We are going to crease this a little bit. That way we can cut into it. And you can put your hand in the bag. And that way we can kind of hold this while we cut around. So just cut along that line. All right, one down. Make our little fold. Cut that. Put your hand in the bag. This makes it easier for us to spin it around while we're cutting too. So right now I'm just checking this side, if you can tell, to make sure I'm not cutting into that head hole because they're pretty close. But I think we're good. So just be cautious as you're cutting, that you're not cutting off too much in a different spot. And also, you're not cutting off too much on this side either. So remember, we want to keep a little bit of an edge here. All right, let's flip to the other side. And in the bag. Again, last one. So the other reason it's easier to do this with your hand inside of the bag is so that you are not cutting any of the other sides at the same time. And this can be a little tricky, so you don't have to cut it out in one full circle. You just cut the chunks you can get to and then come back around and clean that up. Clean up your edges. This is probably the trickiest part of the whole craft. Okay, so now as you can see, there's the hole for the head, arms, and this side as well. Alright, let's move on to our next step. On this next step, we're going to take a look at the supplies that we have. So whether you have construction paper or just plain copy paper, you can make either one of these work. So if you want blue, this can be a little painstaking, but you just take your regular piece of copy paper and a blue crayon and color over the whole paper, and you'll get the same thing. Plus, you can add different patterns or whatever you want to do. So to keep it simple for this one, I'm just going to use the construction paper to start, and then we can add some other stuff too. So for this costume, I'm just going to kind of make up a superhero costume. Something simple, just make some big shapes and add some details to it after that. So one thing that we have not done yet is we need to remove these handles. If you have the type of grocery bag that has the handles on them, just want to carefully peel these off. And they do come off pretty easily, but just slowly, because that way if it does start to rip into the bag, like creates a hole too much, then just start tearing it from another side. Oh, see, I got a little bit there. But we are going to cover that up, so it's not a huge problem if that happens. Let's peel off this side. Also, you can take this as far as you want. So I'm going to show you how to do the one side. But if you want to do the back and the sides and the top, all of that, it's totally up to you. You can keep adding onto this like crazy as much as you want. So to begin with, so we're on the side that doesn't have the flap. So flap side down just so that doesn't get confusing. And I'm going to take my blue, and luckily this fits pretty nicely over the whole thing. So it really covers that up. So what I'm going to do is a little bit of two-tone action. I'm going to take the dark blue. Right now I'm just kind of matching it up over the bag, so I want to make sure I get this correct. You can also, depending on how tall you are and if you want this to look like a dress or you want to turn it into a cape or something long, it doesn't have to cover just this part. You can add enough, so if you add it right down here, glue it on, then that gives you a little extra length, right? Okay, but the way I'm going to do it is just for someone who's a little shorter. So right now I've got the dark blue and the light blue, and the dark blue is overlapping pretty well. So I just want to make a point. So I'm just make it look kind of interesting, but not do anything too crazy. So I'm making sure it's lined up at the bottom. And then what I'm doing here is I'm kind of matching up where that corner is and just folding. So I'm kind of experimenting here. So I'm gonna hold that down and then try to do the same on the other side. And I think I like that. So the alternative is to just draw over it. So I'm going to do that as well so you can see that if we want to do that option. But the reason that I folded over is so I can see, will we still be able to see the blue underneath? But alternatively, you can just kind of look, match it up on the side here. And then draw your line and do the same on the other side. Or actually, let's do this. So we can fold it in half like we've done and keep it folded. So we're cutting both sides at the same time and they're going to have the same angle. So they should look symmetrical, right? Same on either side. Ta-da! Okay, so I like this. I'm gonna go with this. It looks dynamic. So I wanna go ahead and glue everything down now that we've kind of laid it out. So that's one thing I find pretty important, is to lay out everything first before you start gluing. Because then it's a little bit harder to go back if you've already started gluing. Set that aside, and we're going to glue this big piece down first. So we've got our glue, it's open. Remember, we don't need a lot because you don't want it squeezing out of the sides. But we'll go ahead and cover this whole bag. So around the edges, and then I just kind of like to do squiggly line throughout. Okay, so where this is the top of our bag, where the head is, and I'm going to glue this down. So match it up at the top. Make sure your edges are lined up. Press that down. Now down here we've already got the glue, but it's not going to cover the whole thing. So we want to make sure we match up that bottom edge. Press that down, and then as you can see, this part, this flap is not glued down. So we're going to add some glue here. And I'm going to put it on the dark blue piece, that way we don't have it in the wrong spot if we glued it down to the light blue. So put a little on there. Same thing, you don't need a lot. Alright, looking pretty snazzy, I think. Kind of looks like a big envelope right now. Now, I'm going to use, we'll do red. Go classic. And I've got a pre-cut piece of paper. What I'm going to do is, so I have this junky edge here. We don't need that. You might not have this on your paper. If you got a fresh sheet, that's great. But I'm just going to clean mine up a sec. We can throw this into the scrap pile. I want to do another triangle shape. So I'm going to fold this in half. Draw a big line. So from this edge, this folded edge here, and I'm going to draw that, let's see, not quite all the way down. You can make this up however you like it. Also, if you cut a piece, you don't like it, you know, we're experimenting. We're making up something new. So you're gonna make mistakes, and sometimes they're good mistakes, happy accidents, and sometimes you do it over. So if you don't like it, pick up a new piece of paper and try it again. I think I'm pretty happy with that. Kind of looks like a little bandana. So I'm going to put this at the top here. All right. Okay, I cut off all the crayon line. I think this is the side that had the crayon line. I usually put the glue on the side that I've done my drawing on. That way the drawing doesn't show up on the side that we're seeing. So I've got glue on there. I'm going to try to put this in the center. Press that down. Looking funky. Okay, so these are our main colors now. So we've got the whole suit going on, and now we can add some details. So what I like to do is throw in a little green. I've got this big sheet of paper, but I just want to make some small circles. So I'm going to fold a small piece, like a rectangle, and cut that off. And then I'm going to set the bigger part of the paper aside because I don't need that right now. And for this sheet, I'm going to fold it in half, fold it in half again, and I'm going to draw a circle on there. So now when I unfold everything after I've cut it, I should get 4 circles that are the same size. It's gonna be a little tricky, but you got this. Just make sure to hold the paper together. And you don't have to do it this way. You can cut out each circle individually if you prefer. If that's the way that it works for you, then do it that way. All right, now we have 4. So I would like to, let's see, we're just gonna kind of come up with a design. I'm gonna put 2 up here. And then these 2, I think I'm actually gonna cut them down a little bit smaller. So I'm gonna hold these together and just shave some of this off the edges. So I want 2 smaller circles. Oh, those are kind of cool too. Well, maybe we should use those. I'm gonna add that, and I like these, so let's add these too. What do you think? Getting funky. Add some glue. You don't have to get too close to the edge. You don't want it to come up on the edges, but if you get too much glue around the edge, it squeezes out. And that's not a big problem. It's gonna dry, but it can just be a little messy while you're working. I'm kind of making sure these line up. Okay. And then these are gonna be a little bit trickier. So just do one long line of glue, flip that over. That looks cool. You can see the glue squishing out. I think I'm gonna make that like this. Okay. Now I'll add a few more drawing embellishments. That'll be our next step. In this next step, we are going to add some embellishments. So that could mean letters, designs, whatever you want to do to make this look really cool and funky. So what I'm going to do, I gotta come up with a name for our superhero. I've always wanted to teleport. That is my superhero wish. So I think that's what I'm going to make this superhero is Teleportation Lady. You guys can help me come up with a better name. But that's basically what it is. So to make us recognizable, I'm going to put a big T on here for teleport, and coincidentally also goes with Tara, so it works pretty well for me. So I'm going to start with a pencil. I'm going to make a big bubble letter. Dun dun dun. Oh yeah. All right, and I want to make that look even better. So kind of like the big Superman S kind of thing, right? Now everyone will know what I stand for when I wear my superhero costume. I'll have an idea anyway. There are plenty of things that start with T. Alright, so I've got my initial on there for my name, and now I want to add some other stuff. I also really like spiral patterns. And maybe this is Hypnosis Teleportation Lady. Look into my spirals. Okay. Some funky stuff going on. And let's see. That you could leave it at that, but I really like details. Details are my favorite part of creating things. So I'm just adding some lines and making a simple pattern and make it look more dynamic. Coming at ya! Alright, I feel like it's pretty finished. Like I said, you can add whatever else you want to this. We could put some wings on there. You can add a cape on the back. You could put some crazy tentacles coming off the sides. Really, anything you want. And if you have any questions, if you have an idea of what you want to make, but you don't know how to start it, just send me a message and I can see if I can come up with some ideas for you. If I were a little smaller, I could wear this for you and show you how it looks. But actually, maybe I could. Let's see. Can I do it? Well, I might break it, guys. Success. Yes, I am a superhero. Thank you for asking. All right, we did it. I want you to share with me what you made. See you soon.